Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you the national president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Mr. Benjamin Jealous.
God is good. And all the time. Thank you, President Clayton. Thank you, Pastor Houston. Thank you to all of you in this community who are organized, who are standing together, and who are standing your ground. Standing all of our ground. I'm here tonight to thank you. There's a lot of folks taking credit for a lot of things, but I want to be very clear. It's because of you. It's because of this community. It's because of people like Pastor Houston and all the pastors behind me and President Clayton and his 26 years of leadership in this community. But it's because of you, all of you, and those young folks out on the corner. Those young men out on the corner. You are the ones who got the tapes released. You are the ones who got DOJ to investigate. And you are the ones who will ensure that the killer of Trayvon Martin is brought to justice. I tell you, it's a night for leaning on our faith. These are trying times. As Pastor Clayton said, I come to you from jail. Friday, we were outside the Sudanese embassy. There are 300,000 people in that country who may starve to death if President Bashir does not end the blockade and let the food in. And I come to you from Geneva, Switzerland, just before that, where we were making the case for voting rights to be protected in the U.S. and the UN to investigate how they're stealing our vote, including right here in Florida. But I come to you tonight as a son, as a father, as an uncle, as a man who's tired of being scared for our boys. Tired of waking up crying, remembering. Tired of falling asleep, fearful, waiting up. Tired of telling our young men how they can't dress. Don't put that hood on your sense. Don't put that hood on your head, son. Where they can't go. How they can't behave. Our young men deserve, after 400 years in this country, deserve to be treated like human beings. And I mean all our young men. I was sitting up there listening to the brother from the Urban League speak, thinking about time years ago I was in South Central Los Angeles. And a man who once ran for president named Jack Kemp was giving a speech just before me. And Jack kept talking about the kids down the corner, that school down the street in South Central LA, talking about our children, our children, our children. And then this lady from South Central LA leaned over next to me and she said, "Sir, would you mind telling me who that man is?" You know, I don't think I've seen him. I'm pretty sure he ain't from South Central LA. And I said, "Ma'am, that's Jack Kemp." And she said, "Oh, I heard of him. He ain't from out here, is he?" I said, "No, ma'am. What does he mean by all our children?" I said, ma'am, I think he means they are all our children. They are citizens of this country. They are members of our great national family. And whether we are white or black or rich or poor, whether they are black or white or poor or rich, they are all our children. I'm here tonight ultimately because Sanford has a problem. One time is too many times. But we all know that there's been more than one time. There's a fancy term for that in Washington. It's called a pattern and practice of discrimination and abuse. Of people getting away, in other words, with attacking and killing black men in this community with impunity. And it has to end. 2005, 2010, 2011, 2012. Now, we have a solution to that, as you heard from President Clinton. Zimmerman needs to be put behind bars. DOJ needs to thoroughly investigate what has happened in this case and what is happening in this department. And any chief who would allow his police officers to so mishandle a situation like this has to go. Because all parents in Sanford deserve to have faith in their department. And I must say that tonight it's hard to believe that most do. We've heard a lot about this stand your ground law. I would encourage you to read it. As the representative said, if you read it, it's pretty clear who had a right to stand their ground. But you know, I believe that in this country there's a higher stand your ground law. We've practiced it for a long time. You can go back to the Revolutionary War, a thing called the Boston Massacre, where a young black man named Crispus Attucks was shot and killed. And his brethren, black and white, said, we will stand our ground. And we had a great revolution, and a king, not a police chief, a king was gone. And then we had this thing throughout that time and beyond called slavery. And we kept our faith. And we stood our ground for hundreds of years. And one day we woke up and there were no more plantation owners. There were no more slave holders. Because we kept our faith and we stood our ground. And then there came this thing called Jim Crow. And they told us that that Constitution wasn't our Constitution. That those rights weren't our rights. That those taxes we paid somehow didn't entitle us to stay on the sidewalk on those streets as a white woman walked by. And one day, after our grandmothers and grandfathers had humbled themselves for so long, we didn't just stand our ground, we stood up. And we said no more. And now we live in this period of mass criminalization of our young people. It's been going on for about 40 years since Jim Crow ended. We've seen in that time young black men go from a rate of twice the incarceration level of their white peers, to 5 times. We've seen our young people criminalized at school. They can go to any school they want to and almost be criminalized in any school they go to. We've seen our young men profiled and mayors brag about doing it. But we've been standing our ground, saying we got rid of King, and we got rid of slavery, and we got rid of Jim Crow, and this Jim Crow Esquire will end too. So I'm here tonight to say, yes, it has taken weeks to get DOJ to investigate. And it may ultimately take more weeks before we see Zimmerman behind bars. But we will practice the faith of our ancestors. We will stand our ground as our ancestors did. We will stand up as we have before. And we will ensure that justice is carried out here in Sanford. And we will ensure that we will wake up one day here in Sanford and all of our sons and daughters will feel safe. We will ensure that there is a new chief in Sanford. And we will ensure that the rule of law applies to Sanford too.